Hello, friends. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Why don't you go down, hit the subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss any episodes. As for my fans and subscribers, welcome back. I really do appreciate you. Today's topic is Josephus and the Gospels. It is a continuation of What Do You Mean Christianity Was Invented? It is important to understand that the Gospels were not written at the time of the events they purport to portray. The big question is, why only authors from a different country writing in Greek who only had secondary verbal sources were chosen for the Bible? These stories, therefore, are nothing but hearsay, a better source to obtain information about these supposed events would be someone who lived during the alleged events. Josephus was such a contemporary, and in addition, he was also an historian. Considering this, if Josephus did not record any events found in the Gospels, we have good reason not to believe the Gospel accounts. We must also remember that the Gospel writers could not even be bothered to give their names. Now, let us consider the qualifications of the Gospel writers and the apostles, compare these against those of Josephus, and decide which has more credibility and deserves our confidence. And remember, the apostles admit that they are but fishermen. The so-called apostolic writings contain numerous contradictions, such that they have no right to present themselves as historic documents, while the accounts of Josephus show a coherence of narrative. Thus, either Josephus has the true narrative, or the Gospel writers do. They cannot both be true because they conflict with each other. In particular, there is one area in which Josephus is correct and the evangelicals are wrong. This area happens to be in quoting the Old Testament. Josephus always quotes accurately and within the context it is to be taken, while the Gospel writers twist and sometimes even forge verses to their purposes. Let us now turn our attention to the Gospel writers. Their accounts differ from one another, and not in a way that any apologist could convincingly repair. This is not surprising, though, because they wrote from hearsay. Since he was governor of Galilee, he had access to the archives and would have surely seen the sprouting Christian churches and the deeds the Christians claimed to have done. However, he specifically writes that there were 3 ancient sects and only one recent sect founded by Judas of Galilee. This does not mean that the events the evangelists reported were totally fabricated. These tales have some basis in fact, though probably only a kernel of truth. Luke plainly stated that the goal was not to report history, but to relate statements of events in which they believe. The apostolic writers relay information with a given agenda in mind, that is, to vindicate a given creed historically, while Josephus' goal is simply to commit to writing historic events as accurately as possible. Book 28 of the Antiquities, Chapter 4, Section 1, Josephus partially agrees with the evangelists by relating that Pilate got into trouble with Emperor Tiberius for causing the death of a religious fanatic. However, this religious fanatic had no political aspirations. Is it reasonable, then, to assume that Josephus would record this inconsequential footnote in history without saying anything about a crucified, self-proclaimed king who supposedly had all of Jerusalem singing Hosanna? It is clear, then, that when Josephus wrote his histories, the apostolic writings, as well as a fledgling church, did not exist. He made this abundantly clear when he singled out the sect of Judas of Galilee as the only one of recent origin. Let's look at the story of John the Baptist as an example of how the Gospels make no sense historically. Matthew 14 tells us that Herod had John arrested because the prophet condemned him for marrying his brother's wife. For Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias, his wife, danced for him. He promised her basically whatever she wanted, and she asked for the head of John the Baptist, which, of course, Herod did, even though he thought of John the Baptist as a prophet. Now let's analyze the story in view of history. This is the real history. Look it up. Herod married Herodias in the last 2 years that Pilate was procurator. Therefore, it stands to reason that John was alive at this time. The Gospels record that Herod killed John before Jesus' death, which is inconsistent with the evangelist's account that Pilate killed Jesus, in addition to the unnamed prophet, which history records as taking place in Pilate's last year. It is not true, as the Gospels assert, that Herod committed incest by marrying his brother's wife either. In the Antiquities, Josephus writes that Herod had married the daughter of Aretas, king of Arabia Petrea. Once Herod the Tetrarch was in Rome, he lived with his half-brother Herod, not Philip, as put forth by the evangelists. Herodias was this Herod's wife, not Philip's wife, and the other Herod fell in love with her, planning to divorce Aretas' daughter. I often say, you are entitled to your own opinions, but you are not entitled to your own facts. What kind of confidence can we have in anonymous authors who get even basic facts wrong? I will stop here for today, for I think that this is a good probing question to end today's episode. Next time, I will pick up with the time discrepancy, mainly Pontius Pilate, John the Baptist, and Jesus' crucifixion. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. My Twitter, email, Discord, PayPal, website, and Teespring links are in the description. along with the source I used for this episode. If you wish to support this channel, you may do so on my PayPal link. If you would like to get something back while still supporting this channel, you may use my Teespring link. There are a lot of merchandise items available to you, so go check that out. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, stay safe and goodbye.